This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
You're listening to the Voices of the Vic podcast with Ben Aiton and Mike Duffy. This episode contains some strong language.
Hello and welcome to Voices of the Vic podcast with me, Mike Duffy and Ben Aiton. It's Sunday morning. We've just beaten Birmingham City on Saturday afternoon, which was marvellous for myself. Ben, result aside at the moment, how's your weekend's been and how's your week been in general, mate? You all good?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Week's been all right as well. Gone out for a few runs to keep myself occupied. Been decorating some bit more at home. And then yesterday went out for a nice walk with my dad because it was his birthday Friday. So we went out for like a 3-mile walk around Hemel. And then, got back in time to watch the Watford game. And results went our way yesterday, didn't it? So, really, really delighted with that. How's your weekend been? I think you went flat viewing, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I for the first time went and viewed a couple of flats in Birmingham. Funnily enough, I probably should have worn a Watford shirt, but flat viewing, and yeah, they were good. So hopefully, sort of next week I can think about what's going to happen next. So exciting times, and yeah, just as normal, just training for the 10K that I'm doing in October. I had a bit of a off week this week, so back at it again tomorrow on Monday. So yeah, fingers crossed. But like you said, results went our way yesterday, and obviously our result went perfectly. So that was all good. It's not just me and Ben talking. You would have seen on the Twitter. I am delighted to say we are joined by Shane, who's often seen on WD18 Sunday nights with Shane. Shane, thank you very much for joining us. And how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I've noticed I've had a less active week than you two guys have, if I'm honest with you. Just really from the off. And, it's one of those weird things, when I got the call to do the podcast and everything, heard you guys kind of record relatively early in the morning. I thought, when was the last time I was up early on a Sunday for something Watford related? And I kind of traced it back to Man United away in February. So That was a very long time ago for a Sunday. I think it might have been like a 2:00 kickoff going up to Old Trafford and all that. But things were obviously different back then and things are so different now. And I've got a cup of tea in my hand. It's a lovely cloudy morning, let's say. But, there's never a wrong time, is there, to be discussing Watford at the moment? Because I'll tell you what, if things have just been... We've been on the up, I think, and I've said this on a few other places that, for me, Bournemouth away, that result, things could have gone either one or two ways. We could have gone on a bit of a downward trend, maybe even fallen out of the playoffs potentially if things really hadn't worked out for us. But we've bounced. We've kind of used that result as a bit of a springboard. We've bounced back, and we're all the better for it, really, aren't we? Waking up this morning, and I put out a few tweets about the game yesterday. So many people liking it, so many people enjoying it. People are pleasant with one another again. It's such a different. And people are nice and pleasant with me, which is quite nice. So listen, it's been a great few days. Obviously the midweek result was massive for us. Drop points there for our promotion rivals, but yesterday felt like a defining moment in the season. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. There's still 8 games left. It's going to be hell for leather after the international break. We know better than anyone the absolute, the joy and the despair of this division, how it can come at you full pelt, at any time of the week, etc. And, whatever, and whoever we're kind of playing. But we've put ourselves in a fantastic position and we're in a commanding position now. It's 6 points clear, I think it is, of Swansea, 7 points of clear of Brentford. So it's all good. I'm smiling. And I'm very, very happy to be here.
Good stuff. Well, we are delighted to have you on. As you mentioned Man United there a minute ago, hopefully next season, touch wood, we'll be playing them again.
Absolutely.
Let's start as always with the team news. Now, Ben, we were unchanged for, I think, the first time this season on Tuesday. No one got back to me to say whether it was the first time that season that it was unchanged or not. But we knew that Sarr picked up a knock, and we was perhaps a little bit worried. Was he going to play? Wasn't he going to play? Closer it got to kick off, we were like, okay, it's quite evident that Sarr isn't going to take part. Team who's come out at 2:00, and the it was a bit of a strange one. So obviously Sarr was out and Zinkernagel was out, and I mentioned that he did pick up a bit of a whack on his hip against Rotherham, so that was obviously a precaution. Gosling come in, and that's fine. We sort of understood that, but Success was playing as well. Was that a really, really odd thing to see at 2:00 yesterday, Ben?
Yeah, it completely threw me. I think it probably threw a lot of Watford fans. He's only just came back from injury, not really played games for a year and a half maybe, and then to be thrown in for a start straight away. Normally you gradually build up someone's fitness, don't you? And I think he's only had 2 substitution appearances. Maybe it was like 5 minutes and then 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he was thrown in to start against Birmingham City yesterday. It was a bit of a scratch your head kind of moment. Maybe Xisco's seen something in training, or he knows him from his days in La Liga, and he put his trust in him yesterday. But it completely threw us hearing that Zinkernagel was out as well. We was fully expecting Sarr to be listed from a side, and then Zinkernagel being out, you was like, and Success coming in, you was thinking, oh, is Success going to be playing on the right? But no, they played him through the middle. Pedro went out on the right-hand side. And yeah, I didn't really understand the Success thing. It was fair play to him for giving him the opportunity. You're only going to get fit by playing games, aren't you? But yesterday it didn't really click for Isaac Success. I was surprised that Xisco didn't maybe give Gray a start, because we've seen that before the season. He likes to alternate the strikers with Pedro and Gray, and with Zinkernagel being out, putting Pedro on the right, I was fully expecting Andre Gray to come into a side yesterday.
Yeah, and Shane, with that team news, obviously we've seen Zinkernagel get a run of games at the moment, and he's really sort of clicked, considering that's not his natural position. Was you perhaps a little bit worried? Now, no disrespect to Dan Gosling, but was you perhaps a little bit worried that might be our weak link yesterday when you saw the team news, or was you confident that whoever was going to come in, they were going to do a job and we were going to be fine?
I'll be honest with you, when I saw the team yesterday, I mean, first of all, obviously, what with the days now we're living in of social media and all that, the whole Zinkernagel news was leaked about half an hour before the teams came out. So I think somebody from the Watford Observer was actually there, was like, oh yeah, well, I've not seen Sarr come off, which we all kind of expected anyway. And bit of relief there, maybe, with the current international break and his call up and everything. I thought, yeah, okay, I'm willing to take the bullet really for that. But when I heard that there was no Zinkernagel, that was a big worry for me. And then seeing the team, for me, Gosling wasn't really the issue. Mm-hmm. I'm just as shocked as you guys were. I'm just as shocked, I think, as most people were, to see Isaac Success start. I thought that was just like, I was looking through the team, I was like, okay, well, that's normal. Gosling's come in, huh? Isaac, what? I had to almost scratch my eyes, mate. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was like, no, I thought to myself, no, I've had too much. Yeah, I thought to myself, there's been some sort of glitch or something, and that this has happened. But I kind of saw it as an opportunity for Isaac. Really, I thought, okay, well, as you guys say, and I think a lot of people would maybe echo now, Andre would have been the more natural option up there. I've had a lot of discussions, of course, on WD18 about Stipe Perica and where he kind of is at the moment. He seems to be there, but not kind of there, if you know what I mean. So, and again, he didn't make a sub appearance yesterday. Maybe it wasn't the game for Stipe, but if you're him, you're a little bit worried at the moment, because for a game whereby there's like a vacant spot potentially up top, I thought Zhao did very well on the right hand side. Slightly diminishes his powers a little bit, but I mean, what that guy makes up for in the diminishing of position, he more than makes up for in his skill, really, doesn't he? And his absolute tenacity, just trying to get the ball forward, as much as possible. But I saw this as a massive opportunity for Isaac Success to potentially prove a few people wrong. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't convinced.
No.
I wasn't convinced. And I think the big problem was, right, and I saw this a couple of times and I completely agreed with it. It was about 20, 25 minutes into the game. I sat there, I was just ambling my way through the game. And I thought to myself, well, this guy's he's going through the motions here. He doesn't look like someone who's been given a second chance. That's really worrying for me. Yeah. You've got someone like Andre who came on. 38 seconds, I think it was quoted as him coming on and scoring a goal. You know, if you're Isaac sitting on the bench watching that, you're thinking, that should have been me.
Yeah, well,
that should have been me
chance,
making that kind of impact.
Yeah,
Sorry?
he had a chance in that second
Yeah,
half.
he did.
I know he jumping the gun a little bit, but his touch did him there big time. So, but that was his first league start since 2019 in March.
Mike, I'm so sorry. I know you're probably wanting someone to be a little bit more level-headed, but that was absolutely dreadful.
No, mate, honestly, I would have probably said something similar, to be honest, mate.
I screamed.
You'd probably say something worse.
Yeah.
I screamed at the TV, mate. I mean, I can't lie to you. It's just, I thought, the pain. I thought to myself, it's just, and I mean, I would go as far as to say anyone else in that position, anyone else, and I think we double the lead in quicker time, really. It was quite interesting, actually, for me, just on a side note, obviously, with most kind of games, etc. this season, of course, I've never really known too much about the opposition. And coming into this game, I've actually got family that are Birmingham City supporters who have been at St Andrews, who've been season ticket holders for St Andrews since they were kids. So my cousins are about three of my cousins are massive Birmingham City fans, have lived up there and all that, and we've had a nice amount of banter, down the years, of course. I've got. You'd say commiserations. I'd say there's maybe one commiseration and two abusive messages when we got relegated. One tweet, one message I received was "Welcome back to the doghouse," which was quite nice, really. So, the last time those guys were at Vicarage Road was 2014-15 for that Cathcart goal. They still don't know how Cathcart managed to score that goal. So, I've kept them. It was quite good, but actually I remember, and I think, kind of speaking about the team, the first message I got was no Sarr, no Zinchenko, and they were really up for it. They were very confident that they could actually maybe nick something, thinking that Sarr, Zinchenko are our biggest threats. And when they saw Isaac's success up top, I got a number of laughing emojis coming through. I was like, "You're all trolling me." I thought to myself, "Are you serious?" I was, just not his afternoon, and maybe it begs the wider question. I know I've seen a few people, it's a bit premature. Is he the answer kind of things? And I think Andre's done himself a huge amount of credit.
Yeah.
To get that goal 30 seconds off the bench, that's an impact sub. That is the definition of an impact sub. Jeremy Ngakia passing the ball to him, that's an impact sub. Huge from him. Isaac, if I was a school teacher, must do better, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm a coach on a assistant. Well, I'm assistant manager on a Sunday League team back in Birmingham, and the vast majority of people in there are Birmingham City fans. So when the team news dropped, I put something along the lines of Isaac's success, and there was a word in there that rhymes with ducking. So you can probably imagine how I was feeling seeing that. But Ben, just about the game itself. So just before we talk about the great start that we got off to, Birmingham City coming into it. I know we touched on this a little bit in the last episode, but Birmingham City coming into it off a massive win against Reading sort of did us a favour, really. And because we want to create as much as a gap as we can between us and the lower reaches of the playoffs. But they're obviously up for it. Lee Bowyer's come in. You've got that new manager bounce. I was bricking it, mate, as sort of kickoff was approaching. How was you feeling going into it? What was you expecting from this Birmingham City side under Lee Bowyer?
Going into the game, I was expecting us to have like a routine victory of keeping a clean sheet again. I did that prediction before the game kicked off, but then when I saw the starting lineup and seeing no Zinchenko and Aiton's success starting, it did worry me, and I was getting nervous. And I thought, Birmingham, they performed well against Reading midweek, got a really good performance, new manager bounce. I was a bit fearful before the kickoff. And we just really needed to start the game quickly and put them onto the back foot. And I think it really settled the nerves yesterday, starting strongly. And that's what we've done all season. We start halves really quickly. We do it in the first half, we do it in the second half. And that's unheard of for Watford, because last season we started games really slowly, didn't we? And it didn't take until like a Nigel Pearson bollocking at half time for the team to actually start performing. So it's refreshing to see that this season. But yeah, I think our quick start yesterday really calmed the nerves yesterday. I think if it went into half-time being 0-0, I think Birmingham may have taken the upper hand and we would have really struggled yesterday.
Yeah, massively. You mentioned there, obviously, the quick start. That's a nice segue, that is. Thank you very much for that, Ben. 19 home games we've played this season. I believe 17 of them we've scored first. 4 minutes on the clock it was. João Pedro forcing a smart save from Neil Everidge. His defenders sort of pulled his pants down a little bit, though, because they were like sort of statues. They didn't really move. And Sema was there, right time, right place. Just probably shows the confidence that we've got and the ability that we got going forward, that there was somebody there to pluck in the rebound, and that's the easiest goal he'll probably score all season. But do you agree with that, Shane? So obviously with the team news, we perhaps didn't set up as we expected. Was it key that we then went and got that first goal, and then from that first goal, could we maybe breathe a little bit, or would you still expect a strong fight back from Birmingham City, because they looked decent yesterday? I'll give it to them. They looked very good.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think in the week kind of leading up to the game, of course, I saw that match against Reading, and it was a bit of an eye opener, really. I kind of knew Lee Bowyer was going to come and was going to give them a kick up the arse. I think we'd be having a very different discussion. I think the pre-game discussion would have been very different had this been an Aiton Karanka Birmingham side. Yeah. I don't think there'd have been the nerves kind of attached to it, because they look completely gone, really, and all summed up by, I think it was Harley Dean celebration against Reading, and as to what they thought of everything there, really, under his kind of tenure.
I think towards
the end. Absolutely. You've got to admire the levels of shithousery, really, with some of that. But if I'm being totally honest with you, because I didn't really get what the whole thing was about, but then I kind of listened to the post-match interviews and I thought, oh wow, that's trolling on a high level. I mean, fair play to the guy. But I think when I saw Lee Bowyer kind of come in, and I thought, this is a guy who's going to give them that hair dry treatment. And that did fill me with a little bit of worry, because they're going to be coming out. We've spoken about it so many times before. The new manager bounce, it does happen. And I think it did happen for Birmingham yesterday. My big concern, I think, was up front for them, because they've got Lukas Jutkovic, who is just an absolute beast, frankly. If you feed the beast, he'll score. They've not been feeding the beast, therefore he hasn't scored. Yeah. And so the first time a ball went into the area against Reading, I can't remember how many minutes it was. I mean, Jutkovic bullied the defender and he scored. And when I saw that, I thought that cannot be Siri Alter or Trusticon on Saturday. Otherwise, if we allow him to get one header in, it could be quite detrimental. And that's what going back to your point of the early goal, we absolutely need an early goal in these kind of matches. It settles the nerves, it settles the fans, it settles the players. And more importantly, I think it settled the team down a little bit as well. We kind of knew the physical side of play that Birmingham were going to bring. We knew that they were going to be a threat to us. And that saying, as you said, the fact that we went 1-0 up at half time was crucial. The fact that it wasn't 0-0, because as the saying goes, the longer it's 0-0, the more confident Birmingham will be of trying to nick something from a set piece, a dodgy bit of defending. I mean, to be honest, mate, we were really riding our luck. I don't know what you guys think towards the end of that first half. A couple of blind Chalobah. I mean, what a block that was from Jeremy Bella. I mean, I genuinely thought that was going in. And
that was goal bound.
I think. Oh yeah, no, absolutely, it wasn't. Maxim Collan as well, I think, had a amazing run.
Doing? Just hit it with your left. Doesn't matter if you're a right-sided player. I think the commentator said, you're a professional footballer. You're telling me you can't have a swing at that with your weak foot.
Don Goodman was going absolutely mental in that commentary box. I think he almost wet himself, frankly. The fact that he wanted a Birmingham equaliser so much, frankly. I'll be honest with you, and it's a testament to how well our defence has been, a testament to how organised we were. I did think that we were kind of slightly lucky to still be 1-0 up at half time, but that's the luck that you need. The blocks that came in from Messina, I thought Messina and Chalobah yesterday, first half in particular. Obviously, we're going to talk more about the second half soon, but that first half in particular, I thought they were fantastic. Chalobah's block was a goal saving, a win saving possibly save, because we don't know how that would have gone. Really, had they scored, had they got their equaliser, they equalised before half time, they get that boost. They didn't get it. 1-0 up. Sharp alert from Ken Sema, exactly what you need. And as you say, it's the easiest goal he'll score this season.
Yeah, massively. And obviously, So that was 1-0. We then had another chance, Ben, from another corner, which a stat popped up. You know how Sky have these stats pop up in the bottom corner of the screen, and one of them yesterday really surprised me. We're actually up there. We might be top, or I think we're either top or second with set piece goals. Now that was something we've obviously struggled with over the years. I think up until when we played Tranmere in the cup, we hadn't scored from a corner in God knows how long. And then I think Caden Hines scored, and then like now it seems to be where the main bulk of our goals come from. But Ken Sema whipped it in, and Messina was there, and he just put it wide. Probably should have done a little bit better, but I think he sort of saw it last minute. But Ben, talk to me about that block from Chalobah, the way he celebrated afterwards. Just talk to me about Chalobah. Proper captain's performance yesterday. That was his best performance of the season, hands down.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone's saying this is the best we've seen of Chalobah since his first stint at the club. But I think this is the actual best we've actually seen of Chalobah. I think he's better than what he was at when he joined as that 16, 17-year-old from Chelsea on loan, and that first time he arrived at the club. It is just phenomenal. He's just grown as a player. And I think the captaincy's even helped him. It's just given him more responsibility, and he's enjoying it. You can see with Will Hughes with him alongside, it gives him that freedom to get forward a little bit more, and he's enjoying playing further forward. If you at the start of the season, if you said that you'd be playing Chalobah in an advanced midfield role, I think everyone would be like, "No, come on, he needs to sit in that midfield." But it's working, and Xisco's got the best out of him, and he's just thriving. I'm really enjoying seeing Chalobah play this last 3 months. I think he's been top drawer, and you can't fault any of his performances at all. But yeah, from that corner, Messina should have done a lot better. But Chalobah blocking the man just shows how hard they're working on the training ground now. I think there's a couple of examples yesterday of the set pieces that Watford have really worked on this week, and I think Chalobah alluded to it in his interview after the match. For his goal, he was saying that special credit needs to go to the set piece specialist that trained him on the training ground, because he said that he was going to get a goal, and if he timed his run perfectly, he would have got it, and he did that yesterday. But there was a couple of examples yesterday of Watford blocking the runners of Birmingham City yesterday, and it was causing them issues in that defending box, and we could have easily scored more. And it's great to see Watford actually being a threat from set pieces now.
Yeah, and I was surprised to hear that we've got a set piece specialist, and then I wondered why it took so long to get one. But I mean, their main threat yesterday, I think, was getting balls in the air and winning. And we know what Djukovic is like. Harley Dean as well. I thought he was better going forward than he was defending, because he's a proper sort of big bloke at the back and no nonsense defender. I mean, they missed that chance with Hogan, and obviously if that goes in, it could be a different game, albeit he was offside in the end. But we, as Shane said, we made it into the break at 1-0, and the stats were looking in our favour, but it was a lot closer game than the stats suggest. I mean, 63% possession to Birmingham's 36. We both had 6 shots in total. They didn't have any on target, but we had 4 on target. We just looked like every time we went forward, we were going to create something. And defensively yesterday, I don't know what you thought, Shane. Obviously, you highlighted there about we know what Djukovic is like, and he's that's his bread and butter. But I thought Troost-Ekong and Sierralta had a pretty decent game against him. I mean, yeah, he got a couple of flick-ons from that long throw from Mark Roberts, and that was obviously something they looked to utilise. And I was worried every time that throw-in went in, but I think on a whole yesterday they limited him to very little, really. He only had scraps to feed off, I personally thought.
Sierralta is someone who I have constantly raved about this season. Troost-Ekong, in fairness to him, he's put in some great performances. I thought yesterday was one of his better performances.
Yeah.
I think you've got to kind of develop the partnership. I don't really think it's helped Troost-Ekong put in his rotation out the team. You've been bringing in Kafka. Obviously, it's kind of freshen up the team, but I think the one thing that you should never really change in a side are the 2 centre backs. So they need to forge something of an understanding. But yesterday, I thought the 2 of them had done their homework, really, on Djukovic and on Hogan as well, in fairness. Sierralta has been an absolute rock for us at the back. The EFL highlights last night properly actually kind of highlighted him as our standout player yesterday, and there could have been a couple more that they could have chosen, but we yet to see some continued praise for Sirialta, and I think he deserves it. The scariest thing about his performance is that he's only 23.
Yeah,
he's only 23.
He's
like
crazy,
you look at him and think, this guy's in his mid 30s. He's been like a journeyman. He's played in like the Chilean first division and maybe played a bit of Europe, and now he's 23 years old. And Cisco has absolutely transformed his career. I think I'd go as far as to say that, because before under Ivic, he was sitting on the bench, wasn't really getting a look in, had Chileans in my messages telling me that he's a fantastic. And I even had a couple of Chileans send me pictures of them with Sirialta as a mark to see how much, just how highly we wanted to have a picture with him. So that was quite good. And then I thought, okay, well, obviously they're going to back like their fellow countrymen and all that. But when I saw him, I think the first clean sheet I saw of him was against Norwich. Yeah. He was commanding in that game. He hasn't really put a foot wrong any time that he's played this season. I can't really think of one unless there's one glaring one that
I don't think he has
that I've missed.
No, not at all.
I don't think he has. And yesterday I highlighted it before the game. Sirialta v Jukovic for me was a big battle, and I think after that game, I think Sirialta, he'll be looking back thinking we kept them very quiet.
Yeah.
And ultimately, look, it's a testament. It's not just the two centre-backs. I thought the full-backs played their part yesterday. We're playing more as a unit. We're playing more as a team. We've gone past the days now of, I've gone past the days anyway of shouting at the defenders. The general just switching off moments, really. But, it was so refreshing yesterday to see the two centre-backs come out on top, limiting, as you say, Jukovic to scraps. And long may it continue. We've got some tough matches coming up the last 8 games. There'll be teams there. I'm looking at the fixture list now. Sheffield Wednesday up next. Teams that are potentially in a spot of bother, looking for a potential late push into the playoff places, cementing a playoff place. Those guys are going to be heavily tested, going up against some big physical strikers. Some very talented strikers. We talk about Sheffield Wednesday. I think of Jordan Rhodes instantly.
Yes.
Of course, he did score yesterday. So tough games, tough opponents that have not really played before. But you know what? If they do their homework and put in performances like they did yesterday, every single week between now and the end of the season, I think we're going to be golden back. I'll be totally honest with you.
Yeah, and I think that's key that you point that out there. That the fact that they looked so comfortable up against a team that we knew was going to absolutely pelt us, Birmingham. And this is no disrespect to Birmingham as well. Look, I've as like yourself, Shane, obviously I've got loads of mates that are Birmingham City fans, and a lot of them listen to this, so they'll probably be expecting a bollocking, but I'm going to let you go off, guys, if you are listening. But that Lee Bowyer, he said in his interviews that they just want to go back to basics. He highlighted, he says, you've got Jukovic, who's scored so many goals, like he's great in the air, but no one's been giving him balls in the air, and it's just going back to simple stuff. So the fact it looked so effortless, it was unbelievable. And Ben, you obviously mentioned yesterday the set piece routine, 55 minutes on the clock. Nathaniel Chalobah peeled off his man. It was generally, it's not cliche when I'm saying this, it was training ground stuff. He peeled off his man, Jukovic, funnily enough, and there he was at the back post to head it in. And his confidence is just going to keep growing, isn't it, Ben? Chalobah's.
Yeah, if he keeps on scoring, and he scored that fantastic goal at Cardiff a couple of games back as well. So is that like 2 goals in 3 games now for Chalobah? He could have scored at Rotherham. It was a good save from a keeper. It went out for a corner as well. So he's getting into the right areas now, isn't he? And he's definitely going to carry on adding to his goal tally. But yeah, what an excellent corner routine, executed perfectly. Chalobah starts at the front post. He peels off his man, runs right around the back of all the defenders. In the process, Jukovic collides with Pedersen, I think he does, and stumbles over, and there's Chalobah with a free header. It was really calmly taken header. The keeper had no chance of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree there, Ben. We keep seeing these substitutions before 60 minutes. I don't know what's going on. We all know that Cisco used to love a 60th minute sub, but granted, it was only 3 minutes before, 57 minutes on the clock, first substitution, and I can understand the first one, but the second, well, it was different to see, basically. Gosling and Success coming off and Sanchez and Hungbo coming on. Ben, how good was it to see Hungbo actually getting a run of what? Well, it would have been half an hour.
Yeah, well, a lot of Watford fans have been crying out to see more of Joseph Hungbo, and we definitely got to see him yesterday. I thought it was a great opportunity for him to come on, but it was actually getting stripped to come on when we was actually 1-0 off. There was on the touchline waiting to come on when the corner swung in, where we actually scored 2-0. So, yeah, would have been quite ballsy for Cisco to actually bring him on at 1-0 as well. Luckily, it was 2-0, so we had a bit more of a gap and maybe a bit more freedom for Hungbo to come on. But yeah, great to see him come on. He's got so much promise, the lad, hasn't he? And he's just very attack-minded, and we saw that yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. And we obviously, Shane, we saw Sanchez come on. What have you? I know it's tough to judge him off sub appearances, but what have you made of Sanchez? Because obviously, when he come in, there was a lot of groaning and moaning from some Watford fans. And listen, they're entitled to their opinion, and I'm not saying they're wrong. But what have you made of his start as a Watford player?
I'll be honest with you, man. When I saw the signing, I was slightly confused by it. I think, you kind of. I've seen this a couple of times now, obviously, with Gosling and Sanchez, and I think I actually just saw. I think it was one of those neutral observers, one of those championship podcasters, talk about this, and one of them, I remember someone tweeting about it, saying Gosling and Sanchez are basically Rolls Royces in this division, in the sense that they can come on and they can actually do a job for us. Gosling, I was a little bit slightly more positive about. I think on balance, I thought, okay, well, I can kind of maybe understand that. Bit worried the fact that a potential at that time promotion rival was selling us one of their players. I think that just didn't really sit very right with me. But they call Carlos Sanchez La Roca, don't they? And he's been solid for us in that field, really. And he's been, I thought the substitutes yesterday, I was just on a side note to those, and the man who made them, Cisco Munoz, I thought had a fantastic game yesterday. Tactically, he set up fantastically well. The substitutes, for me, were spot on. Is Gosling coming off? I thought that was a bit strange, personally. I don't know how many. I mean, I know he came on, obviously, against Rotherham. Hasn't played. Might have played a grand total of about 90 minutes of football this week, possibly there or thereabouts, really. But that was potentially, I think, quite a strange substitution. I thought Carlos Sanchez, I thought the things that he does very well. He keeps it very simple in there. Someone who doesn't really need a whole lot of time to get up to speed with the game. I think that's crucial as well. He needed to keep it going. He needed to keep kind of things running in that midfield. And as for Joseph Hungbo coming on, it's another opportunity off the bench for him. I'm so proud of him just in general, because the way in which he's carried himself, it was a landmark moment coming on, I guess, Nottingham Forest for him, coming of age. And, he replaced Isaac's success. I don't think success was up to very much, if we're being honest with you, but I think it shows the confidence that Cisco has, A, in Hungbo, and B, in the team, because as you say, we were 2-0 up. Just quickly touching on that Chalabar goal, he was superb yesterday. Man of the match performance from me. And a lot of people ask, can you shag a tweet? I wanted to shag a corner routine yesterday, if I'm being totally honest with you. So that was just, have you ever seen something happen so effortlessly from a corner before? I was staggered by it. Frankly,
I know what you mean. I got a lot of joy out of that too.
Mate, it's too much. I thought it was too much. Then Hungbo came on. I was like, oh my god, this because it just showed. We're 2-0 up. We're not panicking in this game. A game that I genuinely thought we were going to be panicking in at home. I kind of had, coming into this game, I kind of had a bit of a QPR vibe about it. We go 1-0 up, Birmingham kind of come back into it, and everyone says, that's going to be a home win. It's Watford all over that. You don't need to stress about that one. But actually, I was a bit worried. But 2-0 up, bringing on Hungbo, that was a sign for me that Cisco was thinking, all right, let's now start resting some of these players. Let's get into a cruising kind of mode, really. And that was definitely summed up, I think, with the last couple of substitutes anyway.
Yeah. I want to highlight, you've talked about what sort of the faith he has in the squad. I want to talk about depth of squad a minute, because I want to highlight a tweet that I got from a Birmingham City fan yesterday, when I just tweeted saying that Blues give us a decent game and everything else. And a Birmingham City fan replied saying, a midfield of Chalobah, Hughes and Gosling, now bear in mind that's not our first choice midfield, shouldn't be playing in the Championship, and I'm sure they won't be for much longer. So the fact that people are thinking that midfield is too good. And again, this is no disrespect to Gosling or anyone else, but that's not even our first choice midfield. So it just shows that the depth we've got at the moment. Ben, I want to touch upon the other substitution that took place, 68 minutes. Hopefully, and not just for Watford, but because he's received his first call up to his national side, Morocco. Hopefully he's all right. But Lazar come on for Messina. I think it's evident to see now, because we saw it against Bournemouth. This guy loves a long distance shot, don't he? Like he's got some cojones on him, man. He's thinking, yeah, I can ping these top bins from here. No chance.
I love the enthusiasm of him, but I think I've compared someone like this before on the podcast. Whenever I see him come on the pitch, it's like a dog that's been taken off the lead. And he just runs around. He's just so excited to be there, isn't he? And he just gets the ball. He just smacks it from wherever he is. I love the enthusiasm of him. He scares the shit out of me sometimes when he's got the ball, but yeah, I just love him.
He plays like I do, really, on the pitch. Just have a pot shot, really, whenever you fancy. No one's really looking. Just have it. Just have a shot. You've got to admire that kind of confidence.
Yeah.
In some respects. I mean, for one thing, I completely forgot until that substitute was made and the Sky graphic came up of Messina that he's now a Moroccan international.
Yeah.
So that was just slightly. I was like, well, okay, I didn't quite that hadn't quite registered with me, really. But Lazar coming on, as you say, he's not going to be a first choice starter, but if you see him on social media, he's just as with the team. He's happy whenever we won a game.
Yeah.
You see a lot of pics with him and Messina in the dressing room. They're very close. I think Lazar's taken on the role of understudy very well this season. And, we don't know what's going to happen next season. Of course, we don't know any kind of reinforcements, but he's not a bad backup to have. I've seen a few fans kind of be on his back a little bit. A lot of fans saying, it was a great win yesterday, but the bad performance, I think one of the worst performances was Lazar. I thought that was harsh on him. Yeah, I think he's come in. I think he's tried his best. I thought it was also harsh as well on Isaac's success. We're right to give him criticism, but the man hasn't started a game since in 2 years or something, And I think it's kind of harsh to get personal in there, really. But I think with Lazar, he comes on, he does a job for us. And, if he wants to have a pot shot, it's a shot on target. Come on, I'm not gonna deny him that opportunity. But
he made some good challenges when he came on as well.
No, he did. I think it's quite tough. If you've not started the game, you're in a relative position of kind of safety, etc. And there didn't seem to be as much of a threat. I think the second goal, I think Don Goodman made reference to it in commentary. Birmingham must ensure they don't go into their shells. Well, it was the exact thing that he said, and he was getting a bit worried the fact that when we went 2-0 up, the subs were coming on, kind of felt as though Birmingham could be just blown out the water, even more so than the potential scoreline does actually suggest. But no, listen, as I say, it was nice to see Lazar come on, a good understudy, and a good guy to have in the team.
Absolutely. And then the final substitution, before that, Birmingham had half a chance. Jukovic managed to produce some sort of snapshot and hit the stanchion behind the goal. But again, another game where Bachmann's not really been tested. And I thought he did well in claiming the ball, because I went on a couple of Birmingham City podcasts in the week, and they said, look, is there anything you're worried about? And I said, if I'm being honest, I says, and this isn't a dig at Bachmann, but he has looked a bit shaky at times claiming the ball in the air. And obviously with a team like Birmingham, who are going to get the ball in the air, who are going to put crosses in, I thought he did pretty well yesterday, Bachmann. But again, testament to the defence that he didn't really have many shots to actually deal with himself. So that was absolutely credit to him. But that last substitution, we've touched on it earlier in the pods, and you mentioned the Sky graphic. I don't know if you noticed yesterday, but they've changed Andre Grace to Jamaica now, because he's received a call up. They're playing USA in Austria, which is odd. On Thursday, I think it is.
That's weird.
So
that is strange.
That is very strange. But
also interesting as well to see that Jamaica started to call up a lot of what they. I think I actually did a bit of research into this. They call them UB40s. I've been told. So players that are British born that go on to represent Jamaica, and they've got their own little team called UB40, obviously after the band and everything. So there are quite a lot of those players in there, and you look at some of the players that could potentially be called up. We've got a decent team all of a sudden. A lot of grafters in that team. I know it's Ethan Pinnock is in there. I think you've got potentially Mikel Antonio, even though I don't think he's been called up. Ivan Toney's eligible to play as well for Jamaica. Wow, you think to yourself, but I think we're going to have to start a new chant at Watford, and it's going to be quite simply, Andre Gray, Jamaica's number 9, and he finished like a number 9 yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah,
he's just. It was I turned into full Jamie Carragher with that. You little dancer, Andre. Honestly, it's just like, it was just, mate, 38 seconds to be on the pitch, and Ngakia to Gray, the 2 subs that came on combining. That's when that is when you're just. I was so sure in that moment that everyone's on the same page. The substitutes came on, and Ngakia looked like he'd been playing for the previous hour in that game. Yeah, Andre Gray looked like he'd been rested for a game and had come on, and that was his 21st goal of the season. That was the kind of finish. That was the kind of confidence that he had. It's the Andre Gray we've not really seen running in behind. He scored 2 good goals, 2 very well taken goals against Wickham. But yesterday, it was a great finish, superb finish. 38 seconds in, everyone's on the same hymn sheet, and Birmingham were blown out of the water. And I'm listen, I've been very critical of Andre and his time at Watford Football Club, and I think
we all have, mate.
I think we all have. No, I think we all have. But I think it's one of those things with him whereby he's been given a huge opportunity now. I think with Zinchenko out yesterday, I think he would have been a bit disappointed to have not been given the start. Yeah. I think given that the last time I think we had some sort of injury upfield, it was him that kind of, I think it was actually the Wickham game that Pedro was out for and Gray came in for.
Suspended, wasn't he?
Yeah, suspended. And I feel like he would have looked at that and thought, I really wanted that start. I really wanted an opportunity to kind of start the game. And as I said at the top of this, it's the impact that he had on the game after 38 seconds is the same kind of impact on Isaac Success was hoping for after 50 minutes or so. And we really didn't kind of get that from him. I think Andre has put himself in the ring, hasn't he, for that plan B off the bench, maybe. I know I think there's been a lot of talk about that, when Troy comes back to fitness. I think for the record, I think Troy will go straight back onto the bench. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be let's leave Troy out of the squad because of what's going on, currently with results. I think Stipe Parisa will be the man to make way. I think Troy and Andre could play a big part in the second half, towards like the run-in, if Troy is, of course, fit to play. You've got a very good plan B there. You've got Troy, who can, he gives us so much on the pitch. Andre yesterday, if you give him the chance, if you feed the man, he will score. And Ngakia, what a ball that was from him. And, a great goal to round off what was, in the end, I'd say a relatively comfortable afternoon, even though it didn't feel like it, if I'm being honest with you. I can look back at the highlights now and think, that was pretty confident. But during the game, I was bricking it. 1-0 up, I was bricking it. And it's just that pre-Watford conditioned kind of mode that I go into of being 1-0 up. And, I don't know, maybe earlier on in the season, if this game had happened, Scott Hogan scores that chance, Birmingham scored from and a kind of very freak kind of situation, but we won the game 3-0. We kept a clean sheet, which was massive. And as you say, Backman didn't have to do a whole lot. He is another guy as well. I've kind of have worried about a little bit some of his handling and all that, but he was good yesterday. And Andre came on 3-0, 3 massive points.
Yeah, massively. And, you mentioned there, Ben, obviously we've talked about Ngakia winning the ball back as if he'd pretty much been playing the whole game, really, and he just switched straight on. Andre Torben's run brilliantly, although the Birmingham, I think, right back or right centre-back, he was
I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, he was so deep. Because if he was in line, Andre would have been off, I think. But he was so deep. But nevertheless, Andre threw one-on-one and he's put it in the back of the net. Now, I know we talked about this after the Wickham game, how 2 goals might do his confidence a world of good. But do you think the fact that he's come on 38 seconds later, he's put one in, that sort of you need to start thinking about picking me, Gaffer sort of message? Do you think that he's going to do anything for his confidence, or have you
There's a few things that's standing out for me. Yesterday, Isaac's success starting, that would have hurt Andre Gray. He would have been on the bench and he would have been fuming. So he knew when he came on the bench, he needed to make an impact, and he did that straight away, took his chance. But I think also being called up for Jamaica as well, I think that's helped his confidence. And that goal yesterday is what is maybe Andre Gray at his best. He hit the ball cleanly as well. Where we've said this season, normally when Andre Gray scores, he normally like shanks it or mishits it and it ends up going in, or slices it in, or it rebounds off his arse and goes in. But he really took that finish really calmly yesterday, and it was really good to see. So I think it was a bit of a point to prove, and you need to play me now, Gaffer. And confidence now. Even at Rotherham midweek, I thought he was holding the ball up well. He was linking play up well. He was getting into good space as well to take chances. And unfortunately, he didn't score Tuesday night at Rotherham, but he was in the right places at the right time. And that's what you got to do. You just got to keep working hard, and sooner or later it will click. And I thought it clicked for Andre yesterday, and he could have ended up maybe getting a couple more. Hongo was through.
Wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was
but you can understand Hongo there. He's a really young lad. Watford were 3-0 up at that point, and he could have got onto the score sheet. But looking back at it, he could have got an assist there. And maybe Gray was in a better spot if he passed it across to tap it in. But look, he's so young. He's going to learn from this, isn't he? It's only going to make him stronger.
I don't mind him doing that. I was watching it and I was thinking, with 3-0 up, not a problem. If it was 1-0 and they were sort of chasing and we broke on the counter, then I'm going to be fuming. But he's a young lad, as you say. He's confident and he's a bloody good player as well. And then Andre obviously give him an absolute bollocking. And then I think a couple of minutes later they were through again, and he put Gray through, but we couldn't unfortunately get the ball in the net. But we talked about Bachmann having a comfortable game. Just a little stat. So Watford have now won their last 4 home games against Birmingham, keeping clean sheets in all 4. So that's very good, and another clean sheet for Dan Bachmann. But as you say, on a whole, as Troy Deeney tweeted yesterday, just what the doctor ordered for the international break: rest up and go again.
Absolutely.
You look at the stats: 59% possession, 40% for Birmingham, 11 shots we had, 8 on target, and that's probably the closest it's been to all our shots being on target. Now Birmingham had 14 shots, but only 1 on target. So, and in the end, the passes, like 464 passes to Birmingham's 294. So in the end, although even at 3-0, I was thinking, surely there's not a way they can get back in this, because I was bricking it. But a relatively comfortable afternoon. And then obviously, Shane, we spoke before recording, Brentford obviously drew earlier on, so they're now even further behind. And then Cardiff, it seemed we really pissed them off the other week. They were not happy with us, but then they went and did us a favour last night by beating Swansea. A great day all round, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of these kind of weird people whereby I didn't watch the 12:30 game yesterday.
No.
I actually didn't. I didn't watch it because I don't want to be emotionally involved in some of that. I did see the score before our game kicked off. I thought, okay, well, we've now got an opportunity to kind of do so. I was a bit shocked, I'll be honest, coming into my game, knowing that Brentford had dropped points. I wasn't expecting it. I follow a couple of Brentford fans on Twitter who are absolutely livid with Thomas Frank and some of the things with their side. Obviously, we did the job at 3:00, settling down to watch the game at 5:30, and I thought, okay, well, it's been a good day so far. I'm in a very good mood. I kind of had a feeling that the game was going to end in a draw. I did kind of predict a draw before the game. It was ironic, of course, that it was Aidan Flint that scored the goal for Cardiff, given the guy that he was the guy who wound us up all a lot, last weekend. But they came through it, and after the full-time whistle went, I don't really know what came over me. Like, I'll be honest with you, I let out this massive lion's roar. It was just like I felt like, I'll be honest, if you can just kind of like imagine it, the final whistle goes, and I'm like, yeah, because I knew I could feel it.
Knew how important it was.
That was, I've said it to you guys. I think I'll just come and say it again. I think this weekend has been a monumental moment in our season. The fact that the pressure was on us coming into this game, I don't think there's any doubt about it. We've spoken about how Birmingham we're going to settle. We're going to kind of set up. It wasn't going to be a simple game for us. The fact that we've taken advantage against our two promotion rivals, for me, was just fantastic.
Yeah.
To see, for us to be able to reap the rewards. I've said this. I say this a lot on WD18. So if anyone's listening, you're going to have to tick this off on like your bingo card or something. If you are, of course, listening to this. But I always say this: if you work hard, if you put the effort in when it matters to your team, you'll be able to reap the rewards. How many of those players are going to be waking up this morning, absolutely shattered, but with a smile on their face, knowing that they've put the effort in? You could feel it after the game yesterday, even after the 5:30 game had finished. A lot of the players coming out on social media, all the pictures of the squad, team, everyone's together. I'm sure we'll get a tunnel cam at some point of all the players going vamos into the camera, and and everyone smashing Backman's hand, yeah, kind of thing. But we need that. That's what we've missed. And we talk about I did see a question that was posed to the podcast. And someone did ask me actually separately yesterday, this has been a great team performance. Who do you think has been like the most improved player in this squad? Because we've seen so many great people, so many great players kind of just raise their game, and it's a tough decision to make in that respect. And of course, we will kind of go on to that. Who would I say? I would. Yeah. I think two players kind of stand out to me. The first one for me, I think the guy who wins it by a mile is Nathaniel Chalobah.
Yeah,
for me,
that's right.
For me, he's just absolute. I mean, consider this for a minute. We could have sold this guy to Leicester.
Yeah.
In that 24 hours of absolute madness, whereby we were just getting rid of Keena, and everyone just wanted to leave, and it was like a hire. It was kind of like a fire process. You go kind of thing. And when I saw Keena leave, I thought, okay, well, that's pretty bad. I didn't understand the logic really kind of behind it. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's been thriving, and I think for the record with Keena, I don't think we'll see him in a Watford shirt again. Personally, I don't think we will. I think he's made the break for it, and I wish him the very best of luck. But with Chalobah, something's clicked with him. I don't quite know what it is. I've kind of had a feeling it was maybe the formation change. I think that's clicked for a lot of these players.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, and we never will know unless, of course, something dramatic happens. We'll never know about what happened in the week between Coventry away and Bristol City at home. The conversations that were had. I know Troy's got his autobiography coming out later on this year. Are we maybe going to get an insight into there? Maybe, maybe not. But something happened that week, and something clicked. And we go back to Chalobah. He looks superb in that midfield three. Playing in that advanced role, we finally unlocked his talent. It's always been there. Oh my God, I come across like a proud dad all of a sudden. I'm so proud of Chalobah. I really, really am. And he's the guy who I think he struggled with injury. I think he's maybe just kind of struggled to find himself in this team, but he's done it, and he looks all the more better for it. I think it helps when you're playing with the dynamo that is Will Hughes. The two of them, I said it on Twitter yesterday, the two of them are just phenomenal footballers. Yeah, really. I think it is just as simple as that. Hughes, Chalobah, like that Birmingham City fan said to you, Mike, that midfield three shouldn't be playing in the Championship. How many, I mean, come on, when the Championship squad was leaked at the start of the season, all the neutrals were like, it should be illegal for Watford to be in this team, in this division. That squad should be illegal. You saw all the stuff. But we hadn't really made it click at the start of the season. There were loads of players in there. There was a lot of uncertainty in that squad. We still had the talent. Something wasn't quite right at the start of the season. But we seem to have got it right now. We're, all guns blazing. You're asking me about my most improved player. I say Chalobah. Also want to put a word in there as well for Adam Messina. I think he's come under the radar a lot in the last few weeks.
Yes.
But 2 match-winning goals, of course. He got one against. How are we ever going to forget his one against Cardiff? For that alone, he will go down in Watford history. Let's just be honest about it. And his match-winning goal against Nottingham Forest, I think he's been good for us. I think he's kind of matured as well in that left back position. It kind of helps the fact that he's not been rotated out as much. But there are options. We talk about squad depth. The right back yesterday, Kiko, starting the game. You've got Jeremy and Ngakia in there. You're looking at the centre backs. Sirialsa, Trusticon are doing great. Cathcart with his experience on the bench. We're forgetting, of course, that we've still got Christian Kabasele to return to action as well. He's looking really good, kind of like warming up, etc., getting himself ready. In the midfield, we've got Gosling in there. Sanchez is in there. Rolls Royces, as I think I've heard them being quoted. Hughes, Chalobah, Zinkernagel as well when he's back fit again. It's all coming together. And you've got up the field, you look up the field, Sarr and Sema, those two guys, I think, have been the crucial part of the 4-3-3 switch. The 4-4-2, they played a lot more narrow. Sarr, Sema were not getting into the game. The 4-3-3, everything changed. Sarr, all of a sudden, running down the wing, down to the byline, cutting the ball back again. He was the dangerous Ismaila Sarr that allowed the likes of Man United and Liverpool to show their interest in him. That's the Ismaila Sarr that I love. That's the Ismaila Sarr that I've grown to love at this football club. And, up front with João Pedro, he's kind of been, he's been on a bit of a goal drought recently. Goals do kind of dry up, etc. But, it doesn't necessarily matter because when you've got the team play as they are at the moment, goals are coming in from everywhere, aren't they? Our midfielders are scoring, our wingers are scoring, and as in midweek, our centre-back was scoring. So everything's looking good. We've got a lot of options up the field, up top. We're in a great position. We're in a very strong position as well. I think we've just got to make a note of that. I've seen a few fans say to me, are Swansea and Brentford at the moment, are they going to want to play us right now? They'll be scared of that. I've seen a few Norwich fans after their draw yesterday say, I reckon we'll get a point against Watford. I wouldn't surprise me if we don't get 3 points against Watford because they are, other teams are looking at us now thinking, well, you guys were out the picture back in December. Like, what the hell's happened here? And you've now got to a point where by the top of the table are looking back at us thinking, oh no, kind of thing. You don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, of course, but it's an 8-point gap to the top. When we play Norwich, if we keep up this form, are we going to be in striking distance? Is it a possibility? We look unstoppable at the moment. We genuinely look unstoppable. When we get the first goal, everything, our game seems to change. We seem to relax. The fan base obviously doesn't relax because we're all obviously still very nervous, but we're playing so well at the moment, and it's a testament to Xisco. It's a testament to the players who make it work. But Xisco, he came in for a lot of criticism and all that. But listen, he's come up trumps as well, I think, in all of this, and he deserves a lot of credit. Let's just see where this takes us, really.
Absolutely.
It's a very weird time to be a Watford fan because it's actually very, very positive, which I'm not really used to, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Ben, before we go to some more questions that we've been asked, just might as well get your opinion. Who would you say the most improved Watford player has been this season?
Well, of late, it's obviously been Nathaniel Chalobah, but I think before Tom Cleverley got injured, I thought he's been absolutely outstanding this season, and he's upped his game massively. I think if it wasn't been for Tom Cleverley with his work rate and encouraging everyone else to do the same, I don't think we'd be in the same position as what we would be right now. So before his injury, I would have said Tom Cleverley, but you can't ignore Nathaniel Chalobah. He's been absolutely incredible, and you can probably see why Troy Deeney said on that Monday Night Football those years ago, he said that Nathaniel Chalobah is that 50 million player that he's seen in training, and we're suddenly seeing that now with him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick ad break, and then we're going to be back with some news from international camps, and then just finish on some questions from you guys. So we will see you shortly. Voices of the Vic is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in the men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all your below-the-waist grooming needs. Get 20% off now and free delivery with the code VOTV at manscaped.com. Manscaped has just launched in the UK, and we've gone years without using the right tools for the job. You can be one of the first men in the UK to experience their life-changing products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ever ball trimmer ever created and just released a new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. The third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Yeah. When I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes, so you can take a longer shave. It's waterproof as well, so it allows you to groom in the shower. And one of the coolest features is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming. They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show off your mower loud and proud, because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by just USB. So if you're listening right now, I want you to experience that firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to the touch clean. It's 20% off plus free delivery with the code VOTV at manscaped.com. Make your testes your besties. Get 20% off and free delivery with the code VOTV at manscaped.com, and your balls will thank you. Okay, so we thanks for listening to the second part of it. As always, Ben has been slaving away, hard at work, getting all these all these different bits of information for me. So thank you very much to Ben there. So obviously with the international, the flurry of international players that we've seen, it's been absolutely incredible. I don't recall ever having this many people called up before. I don't know if it's just me. We've Ben, is this still a bit of a grey area? Because obviously yesterday we said that Sarr wasn't travelling with the Senegal squad. Then there was a graphic leaked to show that he was. And as far as we're aware, he won't travel with the Senegal squad and he'll remain at the club for treatment on his hamstring injury. And then Adam Messina, off the back of this, I probably should have read this earlier because I mentioned this. It's his back, but it doesn't appear to be a major problem that will keep him out of the travelling squad with Morocco. Craig Cathcart, as always, has been called up. They've got for the World Cup qualifiers for Northern Ireland. They've got Italy, Bulgaria, and then they've got a friendly against USA. Another man who Watford fans might recognise that was called up was Nathan Gartside, a young goalkeeper that we used to have on our books. Obviously, we know about Messina being called up. They've got Marishana and Burundi. Trooster Kongs joining up with Nigeria for 2 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Benin and Lesotho. And then obviously, as we talked about earlier, Jamaica have called up Andre Gray and they're going to play USA. And on the injury front, we've got that Christian Kabasele is back in full training following a bruising on his knee. Tom Cleverley, who sustains minor ligament damage, hopes to join relatively soon. And then the midfielder is running outside and he's confident of an Easter weekend's return. What a return he will be. And then the man that was there yesterday, of course he was going to be there, Troy Deeney. He's continuing his rehabilitation from his Achilles tendon tear with upper body and cardio part of the plan. And a recent scan shows that there's positive indications of a steady progress. And then just a couple of youngsters to talk about. Dan Phillips and George Langston are still both in the process of shaking off their hamstring injuries. Phillips himself has actually been called up to the Trinidad and Tobago national team next week, and Langston is itching to get back because he was on loan at Wealdstone. And then Ryan Cassidy, who was having a brilliant time at Accrington, has unfortunately had to return because he picked up an injury with Accrington. And then just sticking with the youth squad, a massive congratulations to the under-18s who are through to the 5th round of the FA Youth Cup.
Yeah.
after beating Lincoln 3-2 in extra time. I thought it was brilliant that the club put it on. So they put it on a stream, and it wasn't just any old commentators. John Marks was there with Omar Ritz. I thought that was very good, and it highlighted.
I thought it was great coverage, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's something that I really want to see more of.
Yeah.
Kind of, when I hear on like a Friday afternoon that Bergkamp scored a stunner or Pochettino scored a stunner, I'm like, yeah, great. I want to see it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, we've got to treat these guys like they're part of this team. I feel like it's more first team and then everyone else kind of thing. I think that result in particular, I just kind of want to touch on it because I saw something going around that night whereby actually Lincoln City's like youngsters, they're under 18s, actually do train with the first team.
Some of them have made bench appearances.
Some of them have made bench appearances, and also they're taught to play that kind of a very physical style. And Lincoln, of course, doing very well at the moment towards the top end of League One. It was a very gutsy performance from our under 18s, and there's a lot of I think it might be John Marks made the comment. It'll be very interesting now to see who they are drawn against. It'll maybe another big side, maybe another big stadium. That big stadium experience, the match experience for a lot of those youngsters. Will go a very, very long way, and it's encouraging, isn't it? You see the likes of Dan Phillips called up to the Trinidad and Tobago squad.
Yeah.
Bailey Spencer-Adams called up to the Guyana squad as well. These guys are being recognised, and they're putting in the hard graft. And when they're there doing what they are doing, getting the international call-ups, all they have to do is just look at Joe Hungbo and look at what he's doing now with the first team in that squad, realising pretty quick. And kind of realizing that actually it can happen.
Yeah.
If you work hard, it can happen. There is a route here. That's what Joseph Hungbo represents in this squad. I know that sounds a little bit philosophical, but that is kind of what it does represent. It represents that if hard work, if you put the hours in, you put the effort in, as he said, as Joe Hungbo said, we were all getting very excited after the Nottingham Forest game, rightly so. But his tweet brought himself and everyone back to earth again to be like, it's just what I keep on doing. I keep on working. I keep on going. Monday's going to be no different. I'll just keep on working. It's that very level-headed, non-cocky attitude that he has, which I think impresses me the most. A very humble guy, very, very humble. Another person as well, I don't think it was mentioned there, was Ken Semmer, who's been called up to the internationals, I think with Sweden.
Yes.
Which is... it's a bit of a worry for me, really. Look, first of all, 11 internationals, I think, in total have been called up. I think that's a fantastic achievement for a championship club as well, which I think has been noted by a few people. I think that needs to be mentioned. But I don't know. There are maybe, there's other, football kind of opinion here as to whether or not we should be having an international break right now. I don't think we should. I think, if I'm being honest, if I was at the club, I maybe would have put my foot down to say, yeah, guys, this is great news, but we're kind of in the middle of a promotion push here.
Yeah.
Like, you see Premier League clubs do it all the time, and I'm sure we'll hear within the next week or so how Harry Kane has pulled out of the England squad, or how Raheem Sterling will only be playing one game out of the 3 kind of thing. I feel like we kind of need to be doing that a little bit. We need to be a little bit selfish to say, hang on, this is great news. I think certain players it's fine for. I think the fact that Sarr's staying here in Watford, I think that's crucial. We need that to happen. He cannot be allowed to go with Senegal, because I think that could wreck his season, if I'm being honest. By regards to his rehabilitation and all that. But Ken Semmer, for me, is a really weird one. I was very happy for every single player to be called up, but with Ken, I looked at him and I thought, he's a guy who could do with a bit of a rest, really. I mean, he really could do with a bit of a rest. He could do with just sitting indoors for a week and actually just not doing anything, actually. These players need a rest, and that's my worry. I look at Trusticon, for example, with Nigeria, playing a lot of matches. He's got to travel a long way as well for these matches. Let's not lie about it. We're quite lucky. Our South American players, Sirialta, João Pedro, haven't been called up. So we haven't got like the big, the whole played on Thursday, therefore getting back on Friday afternoon, etc. And, even though actually our next game is on Good Friday anyway. And I think some of the game, again, you look at the times in which some of these matches are being played. We've got games being played on the Wednesday night, 7:45 kickoff wherever they're playing it. I'm like, God, are you going to be back in time for Friday, 3:00? It's a real worry. Now, that's not to say that, okay, well, these players can, we've got players that can kind of fill in for these players. Of course we do. We've got great squad depth, but it's about your fitness throughout the rest of the season, I don't think a March international break should have gone ahead. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think it's relevant right now. Teams in the Championship, teams in the Premier League, the fighting relegation, fighting promotion, fighting for top 4, etc. I just don't think we could have really kind of done without that kind of distraction now. But absolutely. 11 players is fantastic. At the end of the day, as much as I enjoy talking, I can't sadly change the minds of anyone. So, listen, I wish them all the very best of luck, and I'm just praying and hoping and just crossing any ligament that I have that there are no injuries to any of those players.
Well,
especially some of the big ones. Ken being the biggest, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's every Watford fan is hoping the same as well. And then just a couple of other things, a couple of other stats. Watford have now won 9 matches in a 10-game period in the Football League for the first time since October 2000, and that was under Graham Taylor.
Yeah,
and then no other player under the age of 21 has scored more goals in England's top 4 tiers than João Pedro, who scored 9 times. That's absolutely incredible. What we're going to do just to finish off the podcast, as we do most weeks, is we ask you guys for a couple of questions. We'd love to read them all out, literally. Like the questions that we're getting in is absolutely brilliant. So keep them coming. I'm just going to answer one very quickly because my old man sent a question in saying, as a Brummie, do you enjoy beating Blues or Villa more? That's a really, really tough question. I've sort of had a night to sort of sleep on that question. I would probably say Blues because over the years, I've probably got more stick from Blues fans than I have Villa fans. And the Villa defeat last season was a really, really tough one for me to take. But I'm going to say Blues on that one. And it's
one of those, though, isn't it? I guess with that kind of thinking, obviously, for me, the last time we played Birmingham was like a few seasons ago. It's the first game I kind of looked at when the fixture list kind of came out. One of the first games, anyway. I shouldn't say it was the first because the first one was, the team up the road. But that was kind of like the second game I kind of looked at, and with the whole naivety that I sat with in July, being like, I might be able to get myself to St Andrews this season. They may be able to come down to Vicarage Road, etc. Obviously, that kind of hasn't happened. And it's been a shame in that respect, but it's always lively whenever we do play Birmingham because, I get a lot of stick, just as you'd expect, really. And, it was kind of, it was kind of nice to kind of keep up, this is a chance for me to kind of catch up with family and all that. And it was actually very nice yesterday. And obviously to get the 3 points was just as great because if we had lost that game, then, I would have been slightly worse for wear this morning, let's just say.
Absolutely. And it's a great away day as well.
It's a fantastic away day. Absolutely.
Ben, I'm going to ask you a question and then I'm going to wrap it up by asking Shane one of the questions. Peter Smith and James Hurst, they've sort of, you can sort of answer both their questions here. So Peter says, how many points do you think we'll need to go up? He thinks 92. And then James asked, how many wins do we need in our last 8? But they sort of go hand in hand. So we're on 75 points at the moment, Ben. What's the magic number this year to go up for us?
With other teams dropping points at the moment, it might not be 92 76. Points. I think last time we was asked this, I think I said around 94 points. That's going to lower now. I might stick with maybe 89 points you might need to get promoted this season. Because we've still got to play the teams around us as well. So I don't really see them getting as close to what as I did think a few weeks ago. Like, you got to remember, about 4 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, we was 9 points behind Brentford. We're now 7 points clear of them.
Yeah,
massive, isn't it?
Football is a crazy game.
I've gone for 6. I've gone for 6 wins from 8. So I don't know if that's slightly too ambitious in that respect, but I feel like there'll be 2 kind of slipping points. Maybe I look at the Norwich game potentially. That could be a little bit tough for us. Still, and I feel like there could be one other game in there whereby we slip up in, or maybe not get the win in, for example. But I think 92 points, 90 point kind of mark, I think that's where we should still be aiming for. If it's less than that, then that's surely to our benefit, isn't it? Really, I mean, it shows that teams have maybe dropped points in that respect, and we've kind of carried on picking them up, really. Yeah. And there's 9 points behind Brentford, 7 points clear. Wow.
Crazy.
You got to think as well, like the other teams, they've still got to play their games. I know they've got games in hand as well, but I don't see Brentford or Swansea winning 8 out of 8. They're definitely going to slip up again as well. Maybe they're only going to win 4 games, and we might just need to win 5 games to get promoted. It's definitely going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the point, though, isn't it? Because Swansea, I think, have now run out of their games in hand, haven't they? I'm pretty sure they have.
They've still got 1 game in hand.
1 game in hand, okay.
Yeah.
And Brentford, I think, have Brentford made up their game
as well, because
they still got 1 game in hand.
Play Rotherham.
Of course. So they've still got that 1 game in hand. But even if they win both those games, if those games were to take place tomorrow, we'll still be ahead of them. So.
Yeah, and our goal difference now is as well. That could be an extra point come the end of the season.
Goal difference is huge.
We got 13 goals better than Swansea at the moment.
That's massive. That's so massive.
We were behind Brentford by 4, but surely we've closed the gap on that now.
We're 3 above Brentford now.
Wow. Shane, I've got a question for you.
Go on.
This is a good one. One of our listeners, Peter Johnson, has said, Chalobah's back to his best. Are you worried if this carries on, he might leave at the end of the season? And he's put in brackets, the Leicester link might resurface. If we go up, we will need him and Hughes to be our heartbeat.
I think that's a very, very tough one. I think it would have been easy for the club to potentially sell Chalobah.
Yeah.
I just wonder, actually, with all of this, we talk about Carlos Sanchez. I don't think he was a rumor on deadline day. He kind of surfaced slightly later. I just wonder if the Carlos Sanchez rumor had kind of been around at that time. Would the club have been tempted to maybe kind of force their hand and allow Chalobah to leave? We don't really know what the ins and outs were there, really. It seemed to be Keane leaving, and you had Gosling coming in, for example. So, if Sanchez was available, was there maybe then the avenue there for Chalobah to say, right, you know what, guys, thanks, but I'm off, kind of thing. Is it a worry if we get promoted? For me, no, I don't think it is. I think Chalobah's found his purpose in this team. I think he's going to be a crucial part of our team moving forward, especially in the Prem. My biggest worry, of course, is if we don't get promoted, with all the tears that will follow from me alone. That's where I kind of worry about it. That's where I worry. He mentions Hughes in there as well. That's where I worry about the likes of Hughes and Chalobah and other players. Will they leave? I think the answer to that question is probably a yes if we don't get promoted. I think we just got to be honest about it. But for me, if we go up, I think there'll be rumours. I think there'll be interest, but I feel like those guys, their hearts are with the club at the moment, especially with Chalobah and Hughes as well. Hughesy. I mean, oh god, it's just I cannot get enough of those two really in the midfield. If I'm honest with you, they are fantastic, and as the question says, they are crucial to our team, and they'll be massive for us next season.
Yeah. And then I must apologise to James Hurst, because I read his question out and he's actually asked another question. We'll finish on a funny one. Ben, starting with you, he's asked, what's your go-to pot noodle flavour? There's only one correct answer in my eyes, but go on. I reckon you're going to be controversial, aren't you?
I grew up loving beef and tomato, but I love chicken and mushroom.
That is the go-to chicken and mushroom one.
I never used to have chicken and mushroom growing up, but I've really, the last couple of years, I've just changed, and absolutely love it. Can't get enough of it. What I love about a pot noodle though is after you finished eating all the noodles, I love drinking it afterwards. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
That's the best bit of a noodle.
Yes.
Yeah. And you got a favourite flavour, Shane? It's got to be chicken and mushroom, isn't it?
Chicken and mushroom is one of my favourites. My other one, actually, I quite like the Brazilian barbecue steak one.
Ooh,
that's kind of grown on me slightly. No, it's kind of grown on me slightly. I remember, I think had it. I think when I went abroad, and I couldn't find the chicken and mushroom one. Obviously, because, obviously they hadn't realised just how lovely and tasty it was. Obviously, so I actually tried that one. I actually really liked it. So chicken and mushroom is always my go-to. But if I can find a barbecue steak one, then that's got to be second spot for me.
Got to be done. Absolutely, chicken and mushroom all day. Right, and then just to finish up on the podcast, we won't talk too much about this. In fact, all I want to do is just get your score predictions, because it is another couple of weeks until the game. 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks until the game. It's Sheffield Wednesday at home, thank God, because I feel much more confident at home. Ben, starting with you, score prediction for that one.
Gonna be tough again. They won 2-1 yesterday at Barnsley, didn't they? So
Yeah, that's some result.
Massive result. Yeah,
massive surprise there. Jordan Roll's got both goals. So it's going to be tough, but I think it'll be another 3-0 Watford victory. Another clean sheet. They'll probably throw the kitchen sink at everything, just like Birmingham did yesterday. But we've got enough quality of defence and attack to beat Wednesday.
Yeah. Shane, score prediction?
I'm going to back our defence. I'm going to back Blackburn as well. I think it'll be another clean sheet. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 Watford win.
Like it. But yeah, I am going to go. I'm going to go 2-0 as well. I love a 2-0 this season.
Yeah.
I love a 2-0. But 3-0 shows real dominance, but I love a 2-0. But as you said, it's going to be a tough game. We would usually talk a little bit more in depth. We would usually have a fan on, but it's not for another week or so. So there's no point there, really. But thank you guys for listening to the podcast as always. It's been an absolute pleasure. Massive thanks to you, Shane, for coming on. I assume you're on WD18 again tonight. Is that the case?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, absolutely. Talking all things Watford, talking about the win and talking about my disappointment at yesterday's game a little bit, because the one bad side I thought of yesterday's game, and I will mention it tonight, is the moment David Prutton handed over to the Sky commentary team, and there was no Keith Andrews in the commentary box. So I had a bit of a cry. I'm not going to lie. I wept slightly because he is my Lord and Saviour. So. It was what it was, obviously, but we'll be talking all things Watford tonight. The Birmingham game, looking ahead, looking at the international break, and looking ahead, I think, towards the rest of the season. Really, it's a great time to be a Watford fan, and as you say, never too early, and you can never talk about Watford enough at the moment. Really,
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well. I'm sure that there'll be many listeners that watch. If you don't, make sure you go to the WD18 channel. Shane will be live with Jacob tonight. Those guys continue to do a brilliant job. But thank you very much to all our listeners who continue to send questions in, continue to listen to us, and continue to help us make great content. So enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Come on, you Horns.